You ever wake up one morning and feel in your chest this pressure, this fire, this whisper that says, you're meant for more than this? It's like something inside you refuses to stay quiet anymore. It refuses to let you keep living the same cycle, repeating the same days, carrying excuses, letting the same weaknesses control you. Deep down, you know you've hit that moment, the moment where playing small doesn't feel comfortable anymore. It feels suffocating. It feels wrong. It feels too tight for the person you're becoming. And that's why you're here right now. Because a part of you is ready to break out of the old identity you've been dragging behind you for years. A part of you is ready to rise, ready to evolve, ready to step into the version of yourself that you know is buried underneath the noise, the doubts, the fear, and the procrastination. You're not watching this by accident. There's a reason this message found you today. There's a reason your heart beats a little faster when you hear words about growth, greatness, discipline, purpose. There's a reason the world around you feels too loud, too distracting, too chaotic, and yet you're starting to crave something deeper, something sharper, something that pulls the strongest version of you out of hiding. This is your mind waking up. This is your spirit refusing to settle. This is the moment your old self tries to hold on tighter while your future self screams, let me through. And let me tell you the truth. You can't become the best version of yourself with the same mindset that created the version you're trying to escape. You can't rise to your potential with the same thoughts that keep you comfortable. You can't build a powerful life if your mind is weak, distracted, unfocused, or chained to old patterns. Everything starts inside you. Your habits, your discipline, your hunger, your standards, your mindset. This is where the battle is. Not out there, not in the world, not with other people. It's inside your mind, and if you can win that battle, nothing outside you can defeat you. And that's what this video is about, breaking the psychological habits that have been robbing you of your greatness. Tearing down the mental walls you built to survive so you can build new ones to thrive. This is about rewiring your thinking, sharpening your focus, rebuilding your confidence, and stepping fully into the identity you were born to claim. Because the truth is, you're not stuck, you're just mentally outnumbered. You've been letting fear, doubt, laziness, guilt, shame, and comfort take the driver's seat. But not today. Today you take control back. So lock in. Don't blink. Don't breathe this in casually. Absorb every word like your future depends on it, because it does. You're about to step into a psychological transformation that can shift your entire life if you let it. Stay with me until the last second, because by the end of this, you won't just think differently, you'll become someone different. Your results will always match your standards, and this truth is one of the hardest realities to accept because it puts the responsibility entirely on you. It means that you are not a victim of your circumstances, not a prisoner of your environment, not limited by where you started. You are limited only by what you decide is acceptable for your life. Standards are not wishes. Standards are not hopes. Standards are the invisible rules you force yourself to live by, whether anyone is watching or not. If your standard is low effort, you will live a low effort life. If your standard is inconsistency, you will live an inconsistent destiny. If your standard is discipline, hunger, and focus, your life will eventually reflect that. Your outcomes don't magically appear. They grow from the soil of your standards. Most people think the gap between where they are and where they want to be is talent, luck, or opportunity. But the real gap is standard. You say you want success, but do you demand excellence from yourself? You say you want the best life possible, but do you hold yourself accountable at the level of someone who truly wants that? Because here's the truth. You will never rise above the standards you set. Your body, your mind, your behavior, they all follow the level you decide is okay. If you tolerate laziness, you'll be lazy. If you tolerate excuses, you'll live in excuses. If you tolerate mediocrity, you'll drown in it. Ooh, drown in it. But if you set a standard so high that it forces you to grow, forces you to stretch, forces you to demand more from yourself, then your life will rise to meet it. Standards are personal contracts. They are promises you make to yourself about who you refuse to be. When you look at successful people, they aren't just gifted. They live by a code others don't. They have non-negotiables. They have rules they don't break, even when they're tired, even when life hits them, even when no one is clapping. They get up early, not because it's fun, but because their standard doesn't allow sleeping in. They train harder not because they love pain, but because excellence is the minimum requirement. They execute their goals not because someone forced them, but because their standards demand execution. When your standards rise, your behavior naturally follows. And when your behavior improves, your results must align. But there's something deeper. Low standards come from low self-respect. When you don't believe you deserve greatness, you won't demand greatness from yourself. When you don't see your own potential, you won't push yourself toward it. That's why raising your standards is not just about discipline, it's about identity. You have to decide that you are the kind of person who expects more from yourself than anyone else ever will. You have to decide that you will never again settle for the version of you who quit yesterday, who procrastinated last week, who doubted last year. You have to build a new identity rooted in excellence, hunger, and belief. That identity becomes the foundation of higher standards. Your standards are also reflected in how you handle your weaknesses. See, anyone can perform when it's easy. Anyone can grind when they're motivated. But your standards show up on the days when you feel nothing. When you're tired, uninspired, frustrated, or drained, that's when your real level shows. If your standard is to quit when things get uncomfortable, you'll never grow. But if your standard is to push through regardless, then discomfort becomes irrelevant. The moment you stop negotiating with your excuses is the moment your life changes. High standards don't allow you to negotiate with your old self. They don't give you room to slip back into bad habits. They hold you accountable even when no one else will. To change your life, raise just one standard. Or force yourself to show up earlier. Force yourself to train harder. Force yourself to read more, focus more, rest smarter, work with sharper intent. That one new standard will start rewriting everything else because standards spread. When you raise the standard in one area, it naturally elevates other areas because you're building a new identity. Soon, you no longer tolerate laziness, shortcuts, or inconsistency. You start to feel uncomfortable when you're not operating at your best. That shift is what creates real transformation. Not the dream, not the vision, but the new standard you enforce every day. Think about this. Every successful person you admire is not remarkable because of what they do occasionally. They're remarkable because of what they demand from themselves daily. Greatness is not the result of chance. It is the result of standards enforced over time. When you raise your standards, you raise your frequency. You attract opportunities because you've become someone worthy of those opportunities. You attract better habits because your identity aligns with them. You attract better results because your actions demand them. Your future is watching you right now. Your best self is waiting on the other side of a decision. The decision to raise your standards to the level of the life you want. If your dreams are big, your standards must be bigger. Wanting success is not enough. You must require it from yourself. You must demand the version of you that shows up with hunger, discipline, and focus. You must eliminate the version of you that keeps settling for less than you can be. When you refuse to accept anything below excellence, your actions will rise. Your habits will rise. Your life will rise. And one day you'll look back and realize the only thing that ever separated you from the life you wanted was the standard you finally chose to set. If you're ready to become the best you can be, don't start with your goals. Start with your standards. Because the standard you set today becomes the reality you live tomorrow. Nothing transforms a life faster than the decision to outwork the weaknesses that have been controlling you. Most people spend their entire lives fighting the world, fighting their circumstances, fighting their excuses, but they never fight the version of themselves that keeps holding them back. Outworking your weaknesses means stepping into the battlefield within your own mind and confronting the habits, patterns, fears, and limitations that you've been avoiding for years. Means recognizing that the enemy isn't outside, it's inside. It's the part of you that gets lazy, the part of you that quits early, the part of you that avoids discomfort, the part of you that runs from pressure. And if you don't outwork that part of you, it will dominate your entire life. Your weaknesses are not accidents. They are built from repetition. Every time you procrastinated, every time you avoided a challenge, every time you chose comfort over growth, those behaviors became stronger. Weakness grows in silence. It grows in secrecy. It grows in the moments you think don't matter. The skipped workout, the broken promise, the late start, the lack of urgency. Most people think their weaknesses come from the environment, but they come from their repeated decision. And the only way to destroy them is to outwork them with new decisions, new effort, new standards that overpower the old patterns. Weakness fades only when discipline becomes louder. Outworking your weaknesses is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not something people see or clap for. It happens in the dark. It happens when you choose to train, even when you're tired. It happens when you choose to focus, even when you're distracted. It happens when you choose to show up, even when no one is watching. It happens in the early mornings, the late nights, the ugly days when everything in you wants to stop. Weakness dies when you consistently do the things you don't want to do. And the reason most people stay stuck is because they avoid those moments. They think they can rise without lifting the weight of discipline. They think they can grow without confronting their flaws. They think they can succeed while dragging the same weakness into their future. It doesn't work. You can't outrun what you refuse to outwork. You outwork your weaknesses by identifying them without lying to yourself. Too many people pretend their flaws aren't flaws. They sugarcoat their laziness. They justify their inconsistency. They excuse their lack of discipline. They tell themselves stories like, I'll start tomorrow, or I just need motivation, or I'm doing my best. But deep down, they know they're not. You can't defeat what you refuse to confront. The second you get real with yourself, brutally real, you gain power. If you're lazy, admit it. If you're easily distracted, admit it. If you quit too easily, admit it. Honesty is the first punch you throw at your weakness. And once you've identified the truth, the work begins. Outworking weakness means you don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't wait for motivation. You attack your weaknesses through relentless repetition. If you procrastinate, you start taking immediate action again and again until action becomes your new instinct. If you lack discipline, you build routines that force structure into your life. If you avoid discomfort, you intentionally put yourself in challenging situations until discomfort becomes normal. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires replacing old instincts with new ones. And the only way to install a new instinct is through repetition. Weakness is strong because you've repeated it for years. You outwork it by repeating strength more times than you repeated weakness. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your weakness is not supposed to disappear quickly. It's supposed to fight back. It's supposed to resist. It's supposed to test your commitment. Every time you try to change, your old identity will try to pull you back because it's familiar. That's why people relapse into old habits, not because they're weak, but because they underestimate how strong their old patterns are. To outwork your weakness, you must become stronger than your patterns. You must become more persistent than your excuses. You must become more consistent than your doubts. You keep going even when you feel nothing. You keep pushing even when you see no progress. You keep attacking even when your mind tries to negotiate. Eventually, your weakness breaks because it realizes you won't. Another part of outworking your weaknesses is understanding that your strength is built exactly where you're weakest. Your weakness is not a curse. It's a blueprint for who you need to become. If you're easily discouraged, that means your destiny requires emotional resilience. If you're inconsistent, that means your future requires unwavering commitment. If you lack confidence, that means your purpose requires courage, and self-belief. Your weaknesses reveal the areas where you must grow if you want to reach the highest version of yourself. So instead of running from them, you run toward them. You use them as a guide. You attack them because beyond them is the strength you've always needed. Outworking your weaknesses means you stop identifying yourself by your past. You stop saying that's just how I am. No, that's how you've been, not who you must be. Weakness becomes permanent only when you accept it as identity. But when you treat it as a temporary state that discipline can reshape, you open the door for transformation. Every repetition of discipline chips away at the weakness. Every moment of consistency rewrites your self-image. Every time you prove yourself wrong, you build a new identity, one that doesn't bow down to weakness but rises above it. And the final piece, you must outwork your weaknesses for so long that strength becomes effortless. Real transformation is when the things that once broke you become the things you now dominate. When the alarm goes off and you don't hesitate. When challenges hit and you don't crumble. When pressure comes and you don't panic. When your old habits no longer tempt you because you've outgrown them. That is true freedom. That is true mastery. And that is how you become the best version of yourself. Your weaknesses will not disappear on their own. They will not fix themselves. They will not fade because you wish they would. You must fight them. You must fight. You must attack them until they no longer have a voice in your life. The moment you decide to outwork your weaknesses is the moment your transformation begins and the moment your old life ends. Becoming the best version of yourself requires one thing most people never develop: the discipline to consistently make decisions that align with who you want to be, not who you used to be. This discipline isn't about motivation. It isn't about hype. It isn't about feeling good. It's about making the hard choice over and over again until the hard choice becomes natural. This is the foundation of self-mastery, the ability to take control of your behavior, your focus, your habits, your emotions, and your direction in life, no matter what circumstances surround you. Most people drift through life because they never take command of themselves. They let their feelings decide their day. They let their fears decide their limits. They let their habits decide their future. When you develop discipline, you take your power back. You no longer move based on mood. You move based on mission. The truth is, discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. Every time you choose the action that aligns with your goals, instead of the action that feels comfortable, you are telling yourself, I deserve better. And every time you give in to distraction, laziness, fear, or excuses, you are telling yourself, I'm okay staying the same. This is why discipline is so hard, because it exposes who you really are. It shows you your patterns. It shows you your weaknesses. It shows you the battles you've been avoiding, but here's the power in that. Once you see it, you can change it. Discipline brings clarity. It forces you to confront your truth. And if you are hungry enough, angry enough, committed enough, that truth becomes the fuel that pushes you to improve. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself. That's only the beginning. Discipline becomes powerful when it becomes identity. When you no longer say, I need to be disciplined today, but instead you say, I'm the type of person who does the work no matter what. When you no longer negotiate with yourself, when you no longer need motivation, when you no longer rely on willpower, when discipline becomes who you are, not what you try to do, you become unstoppable. But that shift only comes from consistency, from showing up even on the days when your mind gives you every excuse not to. And here's the part most people overlook. Discipline grows the fastest when life gets hard. Anybody can stay focused when things are smooth. Anybody can stay committed when they feel inspired. Anybody can stay strong when everything goes their way. But the moments that define you are the moments when you want to quit. The mornings when you wake up tired and still show up. The nights when you feel overwhelmed and still push through. The days when nothing goes right and you still refuse to fold. Every act of discipline under pressure rewires your identity. Every time you stay committed when it's difficult, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. And that proof becomes unshakable confidence. Developing discipline also requires eliminating the mental noise that keeps you weak. The distractions, the doubts, the excuses, the negative self-talk that convinces you that you'll fail anyway. So why even try? Discipline is built on focus. And focus comes from making your priorities non-negotiable. When you truly want to be great, your goals aren't an option. They are the standard. You stop entertaining people who drain your energy. You stop giving your time to things that don't elevate your life. You stop participating in anything that takes you away from your mission. Discipline teaches you how to guard your mind like your life depends on it. Because it does. Another powerful truth is that discipline creates emotional stability. People who lack discipline are controlled by their emotions. When they feel sad, they stop. When they feel tired, they stop. When they feel anxious, they stop. When they feel unmotivated, they stop. They become prisoners of their feelings. But when you train discipline, you take command of your emotional responses. You learn to act despite fear. You learn to push through uncertainty. You learn to stay calm under pressure. You learn to stay focused in chaos. Discipline doesn't remove emotion. It prevents emotion from becoming the driver of your decisions. And once you control your decisions, you control your life. What makes discipline even more powerful is how it compounds over time. In the beginning, it feels slow. It feels frustrating. It feels like nothing is changing. but every disciplined action is a seed planted. Every day you stay consistent is another layer added to your foundation. And just like a seed underground, the growth is happening even when you can't see it. Then one day you look back and realize you transformed. Your mindset is stronger. Your habits are sharper. Your standards are higher. Your results are bigger. That's the power of discipline. It multiplies your effort and returns results far beyond what you imagine. Discipline is also what separates dreamers from doers. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants growth. Everyone wants a new life. But only a few are willing to do the work every single day, even when no one is watching. Success is not built on intensity. It is built on consistency. Not what you do once, but what you do every day. Not what you start, but what you stick to. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your reality. Without it, your potential is wasted. With it, your potential becomes inevitable. The toughest part about discipline is the beginning, because the beginning requires breaking old habits, habits that feel comfortable, familiar, easy. But once you push through the start, once you break that first wall of resistance, once you build momentum, everything changes. Discipline becomes easier. Your desires shift. Your mind sharpens. You start craving progress instead of comfort. You start choosing long-term success over short-term pleasure. You start realizing how powerful you actually are. And that realization becomes the foundation of your entire life. Ultimately, discipline is about creating a version of yourself that your past self wouldn't recognize and your future self would be proud of. It's about becoming someone who can depend on themselves, someone who can trust their own word, someone who doesn't fold under pressure, someone who lives with intention rather than impulse. Discipline is the self-approved passport to greatness. Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can install it for you. You have to earn it. You have to practice it. You have to live it. And the moment you commit to that, truly commit, you unlock a level of strength that carries you to every goal, every dream, every breakthrough you're chasing. Discipline is not just a tool. It is the foundation of becoming the best you can be. At the end of the day, everything you want, everything you dream about, everything you stay up at night thinking about, it all comes down to one question. Are you willing to become the person who can hold the life you're praying for? Not wish for it, not talk about it, not post it, become it. Because life doesn't reward the most talented, the most gifted, or the most lucky. It rewards the ones who show up again and again, long after their feelings have faded. And the truth is, most people will never taste that level of greatness because they tap out the moment life stops being comfortable. But not you, not anymore. If you're still listening, still watching, still here right now, it's because there's something in you that's tired of being average, tired of being stuck, tired of being the version of yourself. You know you've outgrown. You want more. You're ready for more. And deep down, you know you were built for more. But here's the part you have to understand. The life you want isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you. Waiting on you to stop negotiating with your excuses. Waiting on you to stop surrendering to your fears. Waiting on you to stop believing that your past is stronger than your future. Waiting on you to finally rise up and say, enough. I'm done playing small. I'm done doubting myself. I'm done letting life push me around. From this moment forward, I'm taking control. Because the moment you make that decision, really make it, everything shifts. Your energy changes. Your confidence changes. Your standards change. Your habits change. Your habits change. And when your habits change, your whole life follows. You got to stop waiting for motivation and start moving with intention. You've got to stop hoping things get better and stop becoming the person who makes things better. You've got to stop saying it one die and start acting like other day is the day. Because winners don't wait. Winners don't hesitate. Winners don't hope their life improves. They build the life they want brick by brick, second by second, choice by choice. And if you truly want to be the best you can be, it starts right now with the smallest decision. Keep going, keep pushing, keep becoming, keep fighting for that future version of you that refuses to settle. Listen, your breakthrough is not far away. Your next level is closer than you think. And your transformation could be one decision, one moment, one choice away. But if you stop now, you'll never see it. If you quit now, you'll never touch it. If you slow down now, you'll never feel what it's like to look back and say, I did it. Beauty. I built that. I became that. Don't rob yourself of that victory. Don't rob your future of the greatness you're capable of. This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is the chapter where everything changes if you make the decision to change. So stand up inside yourself. Raise your standards, lock into your purpose, and go all in on becoming the strongest, sharpest, most disciplined, most powerful version of you. Be the one who didn't quit. Be the one who rose above. Be the one who finally became the person you were always meant to be.